Let's jump into how to edit shapes on Squarespace. Shapes are often used as borders for images, so if you have an image border you're trying to edit, this is also the video for you. Now, if you're in Squarespace and want to add a shape, you can click here. I actually have a shape on my page already right here. And so I'm going to go ahead and pull him to the front so we can see him, and let's go through the options with shapes. So shapes are basically colored boxes. If you click on the edit button, you're going to see you have a lot of different options of shapes, and so you can play around and you can do a lot of fun things with these. The biggest thing is the stretch option, and so if you have it turned on, what it's going to do is it's going to take whatever shape you have and it's going to stretch it as far as it needs to in order to fill the entire text box. Versus if this option is not turned on, you're just going to get the shape. It's not going to stretch out. And so if you have a shape that's not stretched, you can then use these buttons to align it however you want in your box. We can also change the color of the shape. You can choose a color from your palette, or you can type in a custom color code. You can also change the opacity, so if you want the shape to maybe be over a different object, you can change it to have different opacities so that you can see through it a lot, a little. And then you can blend your object, and there are a lot of different options if you want to click through them all. And they're all going to make the shape look a little bit different. You can also add a stroke, which you can change the color of that as well as the thickness. You can add a drop shadow, which you can then adjust with all of these settings. I'm changing a lot of settings. I think I'm stressing Squarespace out. Finally, if you want to blur your object, you have that down at the very bottom. Now let me add a fresh shape, because I do want to show something that I really like doing, especially with squares and rectangles. And so these options here are going to let you change the edges of your shape. So let me show you. So you have two options. This one is going to make every corner the same. So if I type in 90 degrees, it's going to round every corner the same. However, you can also custom how much you want each corner to be rounded. So on my site, what I do a lot is I chose 35 degrees for 2 angles. There we go. And if your shape ever disappears, just give it a little refresh. That doesn't usually happen. It's just a glitch that Squarespace has been having recently. Okay, here we go is my shape. And so you'll see this mimics my button style. And so, you can play around. Sometimes giving rounded corners on your shapes can give it a little bit of an elevated feel. So however your site is designed, you just want to make sure that your angles are consistent. So example, on my site, whenever I round a corner, it's always 35 degrees is what I've selected. Now, when you're looking at an image, if you want to give it an outline, you're going to make it whatever shape that your image is. So in this case, it's easy. It's a rectangle. So I'm going to drag it to cover the entire image, and then I'm going to change the color to 100% opacity because we don't want to block our image. And then what I'll do is I'll give it a stroke, and I can choose the color and the size of that stroke. So if you have an image with a border around it, you're not actually editing the image, you're editing the shape, which will be directly on top of, or sometimes it can be directly behind the image. So for instance, if you want to change the border, but when you click, it gives you the image editing, that means your image is sitting on top of the shape. So you can either move the image to the side temporarily in order to edit your border, or if you don't want to move things around, you can move the photo behind the shape. And then now when you click on it, you're going to get that shape option, and it's going to let you change the border if you want to do any alterations on that.